Alright, folks, it's official. Patch notes for Diablo 4, patch 1111, uh, 111 are officially here. So, yeah, let's see what they're about. Hi, Zeiss here with reacting to Diablo 4 patch notes. The latest patch, which will be released on August 8th, is 1.1.1 build, blah blah blah. No platforms. Alright, so there it is. Um, we made quite a few balance adjustments to classes. Yeah, hopefully. Our goals with this patch are as follows. We want to improve the effectiveness of sorcerers and barbarians while addressing the following for each class. Improve late game survivability mostly through Paragon board. Okay. Adjust some class mechanics to move away from kiss curse effects. That is where the player gains power but loses power somewhere else. Yeah, interesting. Barbarians speed up the flow of combat in the early game by increasing fury generation on basic skills. Okay. Add late game excitement by increasing the power of unique items. Strengthen builds that aren't reaching a high power level. Diversify the use cases for legendary items and other effects that are, you know what, barbarian and sorceress. Right, let's get to straight to the point. Uh, Necromancer. Enhanced Bone Spirit. Cooldown reduction increased from 6 to 7 seconds. Alright. That might be problematic for those who want to use Bone Spirit. I had this weird idea of doing some Bone Spirit build with Blood Artisan and two basic skills without a core skill. Two basic skills and Bone Prison and a Curse. And I thought it would be interesting, but now with this one extra second, it might take forever, like to clear stuff. So yeah, we'll see about that. I mean, it's just a second, but now that you think of it, that you would rely a lot on Bone Spirit. I don't know, especially having in mind they reduce the cooldown effects on items. This will make it even harder, but it was too OP anyway, especially with Blood Orbs. Paragon, Wither. Okay, for the Darkness lovers. Willpower requirement for bonuses reduced. Huh? Reduced from 50 to 40. Bonus damage per 40 willpower increase from. Oh, that's a huge boost. So I also hope that they fix the DOT crit problem, like DOT crits. Who does that? I mean, it's not direct damage, it's constant damage. It's not variable direct damage, so yeah. Legendaries. Aspect of the Empowering Reaper. Damaging enemies with Sever has 10 to 20% chance to spawn a pool of blight under the target that deals 20 to 60% bonus damage. This effect can only happen once every 3 seconds. And okay. Aspect of Exposed Flesh. Lucky hit up to 10% chance to generate 30 to 50 essence when hitting a vulnerable enemy. What's the change here? It was exactly like that. I mean, aspect of decay, damages in. So these were like added to be in the game, not like I don't know. they were drop only, but in the season they can be also in the aspects of power. Anyway, aspect of decay, damage increased 20 to 40 to 25 to 45. Aspect of torment, essence regeneration increased from. Whoa, now it will make sense because I remember the first thing I do. Actually, the first thing I do as a necromancer is leaving Kill Shot, doing events, and going exactly after this aspect, which is like on top right, to solve the resource problem early on. And there's also event and strongholds near it, and there's also a quest in the dungeon, so it's quite the combo. And yeah, hopefully now it will make sense. Definitely this has to be tested on a new character because the change is huge. It's huge. Excuse me. Hooking aspect is for the golem, right? No. Legendary category change from resource to utility. Chance for golem to reduce its own cooldown. Yeah, this 1% was like, I don't know. I almost never saw it happening when I played golem, so I kind of dropped it. And maybe the only useful golem I figured was the bone golem, generating additional corpses. Everything else pretty much, I don't know, didn't work out well for me. So okay, chance to golem to spawn a corpse instead. 0.5% to 2% to 1 to 2.5%. Yeah, exactly. That's the most useful golem, the bone golem. And with this setting in the sacrifice, the others not so much because they are the bonuses are related directly to golems, and this one is something actually you can use. Uniques. Okay, intelligence affix replaced with bonus movement speed on Graves of the Empty Tomb. Okay. I remember they mentioned that in the campfire chat. Yeah. Minions. The following attacks now deal reduced damage to druid companions and necromancer minions. Those. Okay, yeah. This was really terrible. Like fire enhanced, especially, and shock lance. This was really terrible for minions. Okay, let's move on. Gameplay updates. Monster density. We are increasing monster density in Nightmare Dungeons and in Helltide. Well, Nightmare Dungeons, okay, I get, but Helltide is now pretty much pointless to do unless you desperately need elixirs, which at certain point you most probably won't. And now that you can get Forgotten Souls when salvaging legendaries, and especially having in mind Hilltide monsters are always 3 levels higher, and density is increased, it it doesn't, I don't know, it's just made more difficult, and the reward is diminished, and just doesn't make sense doing them. You can what you can do is get those keys from the gambler, right? And open those chests instead. If you happen to do open world at all, because after a certain point it doesn't make sense doing open world at all. And the reward for fighting higher level monsters is very very reduced. It used to be like 25% additional XP bonus when you fight monsters 3 levels higher than you. And now it's, I think they changed it to percent and a half per level up to 10. So you can get it to 15% if you fight enemies which are 10 levels above you, which unless you are, uh, I don't know, it just makes it slow and unrewarding and dangerous, especially if you play hardcore, you'll know what I'm talking about. Uh, right. Bosses above level 60 will have more health. Woohoo! Yeah. I'm really I was getting tired of killing bosses with just two spells. I just cast two spells and they die. Like the other monsters I encounter were much stronger than the bosses. I just go to the boss and they die in like a second. Just casting two spells and they're dead. Actually, in Nightmare Dungeons, the immunity bubble, which spawns when you finish the dungeon, takes more time to spawn compared to how fast I kill the boss. So you can imagine. This was quite necessary. I would rather have bosses like which I fight for like at least 5 minutes, like make them interesting, see all their mechanics, like display skill, or not just go there with a broken build or just too strong build and kill them in less than a second. That's bad design to me, really. Um, I wouldn't want to compare it to other games, but okay, like let's say Diablo 2, for example. But at least it's the same game, just like same franchise. What happens when you go to the boss? Do you kill it with one hit? No matter how OP your build is, you just can't do that. Unless you're maybe a summoner, necromancer with Enigma, you just curse them with amplified damage and teleport on top of it, and like 80 minions hit at once, and then this is possible. Kind of. But yeah, bosses were too boring to the point where you just can't see what they do. The boss shows up, you cast a spell or two, and they're dead. Even now, with those new powers in the season of the Malignant, you just go to the boss. It's even more terrible. It's no fun, really. So yeah, I would prefer them actually having much more, much more health increase than that. I mean, so now I don't have to go cast one or two spells. I cast three spells and they're dead based on this data here, right? Bosses at level 60 and below remain unchanged. Bosses at level 80 have 50% increased health. Bosses at level 100 have 100% increased health. Bosses at level 120 have 120% increased health, and bosses at level 150 have above what? And above have 150% increased health. So yeah, hopefully that also applies for Uber Lilith, Echo of Lilith, because just going there, shooting a couple of spells, killing her, same story. Or just like with the blood or bone spirits. It just shoot blood waves for at least half an hour, maybe an hour, and just walk over the blood orbs and she's dead in seconds. It's, I don't know, pointless. But still, I think some of her mechanics should not one shot you. This is also bad design. I think it's just terrible design actually. Bosses and events. Okay, so what they're saying is we are making adjustments to the health values of high level boss monsters. Level 35 and higher boss monsters will now have a 100% chance to drop a legendary item. Yeah, alright. Like, who cares? They drop all the time, those legendary items. Treasure goblins now have an increased legendary item drop chance from level 6 to 14 and guarantee legendary item drop starting at level 15. Yeah, if you remember that my crazy video with Blood Surge Necromancer going to straight to the dry steps, doing this event and cellar rotation, when you can constantly reset the event by just going into a cellar. I was fighting level 15 and higher mobs straight from level 1, and I defeated them without any problems and immediately received higher level items I can usually equip at like level 4, level 8, level 10, level 12, level 15, which with the recent changes made, fighting that much higher mobs, it's kind of stupid and dangerous, but very rewarding. Maybe it would make more sense to go there after level 4 or 5, not straight from level 1, because there's no extra bonus, and you can't equip with what they're dropping, but it's doable anyway. This is what I wanted to show. Uh, all right, let's see what else. And yeah, so why I mentioned this, because on the way to the dry steps to this place with the event, I met a treasure goblin, and I commented on just letting it go because they never drop good stuff, especially at low levels. And having in mind how strong they are, like they're very tough, like having a very high defense. And when you CC them, they just become unstoppable and keep on going. So, first, it's nearly impossible to kill it at level 1. And at this point, it would just be irrelevant because it's gonna be like huge waste of time without much of a reward. So, Legion events are now more rewarding and guarantee a legendary item drop starting at level 35. Okay, so maybe the only thing I found to be rewarding in Legion events is the oboes you get in the end, if you get, because sometimes when I go do Legion events on hardcore, I'm the only player there, and it sometimes happens just the Legion disappears. I can't complete it because too many monsters spawn at different locations, and I just can't move that fast to go kill them all. And the problem here, which uh, they didn't solve, is something which the community actually really wanted. It's target farming. Do you remember those previous Diablo games where you know that a certain monster has a higher chance to drop this build enabling item that you need? Well, no longer the case here. You just have to do nightmare dungeons and hope that you will get something that you actually need. And before that, you have to play with what you've got. This is both a good and a bad thing if we have to look at this at this low standard. Why is this a bad thing? Because if you want to test or play a particular build, or for example, if you started playing your class because of some idea that you have, because of some change which was introduced, of something that you wanted to see, and you need this and that item in order to see how it works, well, you might have to farm for quite a while. And why this is good? It's because this way you can have, like, remember how I always say that I'm not the kind of noob that can only play with top gear? Well, maybe they want exactly that. They want you to play and experience this in a different way, like growing in power and how it feels when you get this reward and when you know it's not so common to have. They just want you to play their way, and by making so many changes addressing certain activities, they kind of force you to do certain activities more because they are just more rewarding. And yeah, that's my hit. That's my hit here. Not much more to add. General, we have made multiple improvements on how damage and other effects interact with active barriers. Oh wow. Let's see. Bonus damage or bonus effects that are applied on hit or when dealing damage will now apply the same effect through barriers. What? So yeah, okay. When I get poisoned and stuff, it will no longer say absorbed. It will directly damage me. That's what they're saying. Like, how is a barrier useful now? And they were talking like survivability of sorceress, right? I mean, sorceress is not the only class which can get barrier, but it comes natural to them. And yeah, all right, Blizzard, you got me here. So industry standards are totally devastated lately, especially by AAA studios. They just want you to buy the battle pass and spend money and waste your time without being rewarded. Uh, that this is what it looks to me. I mean, if this game did not have the Diablo word in it, I would most probably drop it on day two. And what I'm hoping now is that with other stuff coming out, they would actually be under fire trying to fix their broken game. This is my take on that. Especially with such changes being introduced, like they want to achieve that, but the changes they introduce are working against what they say they want to achieve, which is, it's too low for me. But yeah, let's move on. Example, the exploit Paragon glyph will now apply vulnerable to enemies that have an active barrier. So it's for enemies. I guess same applies on PvP, right? Because you can meet players who have barriers. And this is just one example. Why not give more examples? Right. I want to see this. Unfortunately, I only have hardcore characters, only one which is not hardcore, which I don't think uses barrier, but it's easy to get, so I might have to die a couple of times on softcore to see how this works. Uh, Especially in particular use cases I'm interested in, so which will prevent me from dying on hardcore, which is kind of the thing there. If you die, you start over, you do most of the renown again, quests and all that. At least you can skip the campaign, right? And get the horse immediately. Cheat death effects will now work properly when the player has an active barrier. This also affects PvP play. Okay. Varshan will now break through any bone wall segments he dashes through. Bone wall? You mean bone prison? Because I don't know of any skill called bone wall in Diablo 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's only bone prison. We don't have bone wall. Bone wall is something Diablo 4 does not have. Uh, I don't know. Maybe they were in a rush. Legendaries. The cost of refunding skill and Paragon points has been reduced. The reduction starts small at lower levels with hits at maximum of 40% at level 100. Yeah, okay, because I remember it costs like 80,000 gold to reset a skill point at level 100. Right. Yeah, it was really expensive. And most probably many will consider this still being expensive. Uh, I like how a couple of other games are handling this, especially still Blizzard games. Like you just go click and reset all, or you can do it by a skill point in certain other games. I know they want it to be different, but this is not really convenient. Most probably, what they want to avoid is too much respecking and totally modifying your character without having to make a new one. So you can adjust it for certain types of content, and they want you again to play more and have a different character for separate kind of kind of content, most probably, which is something which many will consider not good design as well, I think. Okay, let's see the example. Example level 50 minus 12%, level 60 minus 80%, level 70 minus 24%, level 80 minus 30%. Yeah, level 100 minus 40%. Yeah, so you do less farm. Uh, What I want to test is this. Okay, so would respecing for a certain end game activity or not end game activity, just activity. Would respecing for certain game activity be worth it? Like, uh, is the reward from the activity I want to do worth it? Worth it enough to make me respect to do this activity more efficiently? That's something people might want to check. I might do that on my next stream. We'll see. Okay, so they've increased the stack limit of elixirs from 20 to 99. Yay! That's a huge deal here. Alright. So that's more elixirs to lose when your hardcore character dies. I mean, if you carry them around with you, right? So take note, guys. Additional stash tab can now be purchased at the stash with gold. Right. This is I don't know what kind of joke this is, but I remember the one of the directors, Joe Pepora, mentioning they have like a performance issue. So why the reason why they didn't introduce more than 4 stash tabs is that when you meet other players in the game, you actually load their entire data with all their stash contents, right? Which I am also a developer, right? I don't do games, I do other things. But still, I think that's a bad design unless it is there to prevent some cheating or it's related to trading somehow. But since the resources are not in your stash, this makes it kind of weird. So the reasoning behind it, there has to be a reason behind it, but most probably could be adjusted so it doesn't happen. And hopefully they introduce more interesting stash tab like aspect stash tab, unique stash tab, resources and stuff, uh, elixirs stash tabs, gems stash tabs, any kinds of things that you might wanna drop and organize better, especially for those console players out there like who play on Xbox or PlayStation, where you just have to move like square by square, and you can't really organize in those general stash tabs, which you can put everything in them, and I don't know, it's not really convenient. Okay. Hmm. We have restored the cast time for lead dungeon back to 3 seconds. Yeah. Okay, let's see the note. Lead dungeon ability was being used as another method of easy escape from danger in dungeons, particularly for hardcore players. However, well, how would you use the leave dungeon when you have scroll of escape and it's dropping like crazy? If I show you my stash, I think I have like over 80, and I have only one main in hardcore. Everything else is muse for other builds I want to do. And I kind of chose the most difficult path to go on hardcore, right? Which is kind of slower than I wanted it to be. Uh, and what I can say is I have too many scrolls of escape. They drop like Town Portal maybe in Diablo 2. And I don't even have an idea what I have no idea what to do what to do with them. Sometimes I use them as Town Portal instead just because it's faster. Honestly, I think that decision is kind of pointless. They should make it. I don't know. If it's 3 seconds, it's bad. If it's 5 seconds, it's still bad because when you end the dungeon, you have to wait 5 seconds. But when it's three, it could be used to leave dangerous situations, which is not the case because 3 seconds is a lot of time, and you can get killed like 20 times in 3 seconds. So I don't see how this can help you escape a really dangerous situation where you are in danger for real. Like when you have increased heart rate, and instead of focusing on what's happening on the screen, you might think to yourself, "Oh no, I'm gonna die! I'm gonna lose my character! I have to do it all over again, or I don't want to do that. What's happening now?" And this is how you actually lose your character, not because of changes like this, right? So you just use the scroll of escape. It drops a lot. It actually drops too much, and this being reverted back to 3 seconds, I think it doesn't make much of a difference, except when you want to leave the dungeon when you complete it. And actually, when you complete it, you might just TP back to town. And for those who are abusing dungeon resetting in party, Uh, what I can say is be glad that the Blizzard developers didn't outsmart you yet, because eventually they will. Pretty sure they will. So yeah, keep abusing that if you feel so weak, right? Good luck. Okay, let's see. Malignant Hearts, Cage Heart of Spell Breaking. Change to upon taking elemental damage, gain 10 to 20% damage reduction for 5 seconds. What? Okay. Generic unique items. Temerity. Yeah. Temerity is a really good idea, but becomes very weak at the end game. Maybe it's good for the late game, but not for the end game. You would rather get something which has damage reduction or life, damage reduction from close, damage reduction from distance, and total armor. So to contribute to the damage reduction your armor gives you. And by simply having barrier, at a certain point, especially with those new changes for barrier, I don't know, I think it's still gonna be really useless. Unless it has really high roll on the barrier, and unless you have barrier generation, additional barrier generation from other items, I mean. And what I remember from using temerity is that really, especially when the roll on the barrier is low, it's just a pointless item. It has pointless stats. It just doesn't help above level maybe 60. Just doesn't help at all. Okay, barrier is now based on maximum life. Right, so more barrier, guys. Now properly accounted by conditions checking for the player having a barrier. Finally, it works as it should be. Wow, what a change. Bug fixes. Okay, let's see. This is the other important part. Did 8 fix the animation locks which prevent you from moving? Because the other stuff is just kind of irrelevant to compared in urgency to that thing. Screen reader support for reading class icons has been added. Right. Fixed an issue where the screen reader wouldn't read out capitalized, accented letters for special characters. Right. Cooperative play. Fixed an issue where progression in the final straw quest could be blocked during co-op play. Hmm. Fixed an issue where only the first player could activate points of interest during co-op play. Right. Fixed an issue where using Town Portal while attempting to enter a dungeon would cause both players to get stuck during the local co-op play. Yeah, again, those things come from the party abusers, right? Fixed an issue where follower NPCs could not function properly in scenarios where players were mounted during local co-op play. Alright. Oh yeah, I remember this, and they always stand in your way. Yeah, I get it. Fixed an issue where the quest progress tracker of other players wouldn't display properly in certain situations during local co-op play. Right. Fixed an issue where the season info would not properly display when player 2 created new character during local co-op play. Fixed an issue where player engaged in conversation with an NPC would see a black screen if another player in their party teleported away. Um, yeah. I remember when playing with Stardust, we had some problem, but it was not really related to that. It was just the screen went black and there was only snow and just the city partially loading or whatever. I don't know. I gotta find it, make a short out of it or something. We'll see. Dungeons. Fixed an issue where progression in the season. What is a seaside dungeon? Okay, seaside descent dungeon could be blocked when the butcher or treasure goblin spawn behind the barrier. Alright, that's good, I guess. Fixed an issue where the determination malignant power wouldn't function against the resource burn affix for nightmare dungeons. Huh. Okay, so the determination malignant power is going to finally be useful, guys. Hooray! It's gonna work as intended, so to speak. Fixed an issue where the resource burn affix for nightmare dungeons was applying from close enemies and not just distant enemies. Yeah. So what I noticed is most of those changes that they introduce with patches and hotfixes, they actually fix things to work as intended, while at the same time introduce more problems. So yeah, let's move on. Fixed an issue where the boss in the Den of the Blighted could be damaged through the fog wall. Actually, it's not just the boss which could be damaged through the fog wall. I think damaging stuff through the fog walls in different dungeons, actually, especially those mechanics which are like, what's that? Which looks like a curse or barrels or whatnot. I could easily damage stuff behind those fog walls before entering these areas to make things easier for myself, right? So, yeah, again, like I said, they keep on making changes which actually make the game work as intended. It feels weird to me, guys. I don't know. I mean, this should have been like originally this way. Critters, non-combative creatures in Nightmare Dungeons with the death pole suffix will no longer explode on death. This explosion was never dealing damage. Well, okay, when I do death balls, I did not notice any critters triggering death balls. And maybe I just didn't notice because I gather lots of mobs and kill them like defeat them at once. But sometimes with certain other affixes, I just avoid death balls because I use the automatic corpse skill trigger. And having corpse tendrils to pull enemies towards you, which will trigger the death pulse, and especially with, like I said, certain affixes of Nightmare Dungeons, which make death pulse even more dangerous. I generally avoid those because it's guaranteed character self-destruction, right? Which is something you want to avoid. Let me know how you think, how you feel about death pulse on hardcore in general. Because I've seen even the most skillful players losing their characters because of Deadpool's misunderstanding. Like they think they're too tough and all that, but when Deadpool is stuck, when you defeat a couple of mobs and the Deadpool's they trigger stuck, and this is how you can easily lose your hardcore character, especially if it's melee. Especially if it's melee. Um, Alright, fixed an issue where players could have their party after dying in a nightmare dungeon, re-enter this party, and then re-enter the dungeon and not have their revives count towards the dungeon revive count. Yeah, guys who play in parties just keep abusing the game so they fix stuff that you do. I don't mind. I mean, at a certain point, what I can say is just party is too OP compared to solo, and this is something that they have to fix. So yeah, keep abusing, no problems at all. Eventually, they will wake up and realize this is not how it should be. That's what I think. Fixed an issue where Animus carriers killed before the Animus objective was triggered would not drop Animus, blocking dungeon progression. Okay. Seems weird because usually when you get this objective is when you enter that state of the dungeon. And you don't get those elites which drop it right from the start. Okay. Fixed an issue where reset dungeon button often malfunctioned. Well, I think I only used that like a couple of times. Because honestly, who does regular dungeons? When you get above level 50, you should already do Nightmare Dungeons and most probably not leave Nightmare Dungeons whatsoever when you get to World Tier 3. There's nothing as rewarding as Nightmare Dungeons when you get to World Tier 3. Everything else is either too dangerous, too powerful, too time wasting, and not as rewarding. So I don't know why people still do that, but maybe because they wanna like level up faster, which will not happen if you don't do Nightmare Dungeons. Whatever else you do, just the reward is not the same. And especially the bigger problem here is okay, you level up, but you don't get the loot, and your character is not powerful enough to meet those even same level enemies. I mean, not as efficiently. Of course, you can do it and overcome it by skill, but why waste this time? Why make things hard on you when the developers are obviously trying to convince you otherwise by not just talking about it? Anyway, have it your way, of course, always, but still, it's yeah, okay. Fixed an issue where keeper uh, Sorlim sometimes would not drop Garen's key in the Garen Hold Nightmare dungeon. Yeah, that's a problem because you can't progress in this dungeon. And glad they fixed it. I never had this issue, but yeah, it's a good fix. Gameplay. Okay, let's skip all those things which we don't care about. Fixed an issue that caused more blood orbs than intended to be active at the same time. Blood orbs now function like crackling energy in that they cap at 30. Yay! Finally, a good nerf. Actually, this is most probably many will not be happy about this, especially those who didn't have the chance to defeat Uber Lilith yet. But yeah, hey, this is how it should be, guys. Come on, let's face it. Let's accept the truth. It was just too OP, having blood orbs everywhere, shooting them with blood lance or triggering that many bone spirits. I don't know. It was too broken to me. It seemed really broken to me. So yeah. Fixed an issue where guaranteed overpower attacks from the Ratma's Vigor Key passive were not benefiting from the Paragon Legendary Node Bloodbath. Okay, so that's the increased overpower. Uh, Yay, I can actually finally play blood builds now when this comes into effect. So after August 8th, expect me to play more blood builds because of this. Finally, again, like I mentioned a couple of times before, they are making the game as it should be, like how it's intended to work. Fixed an issue where automatic corpse explosion cast from the sacrilegious malignant power could ignore the damage reducing effect from the power when using unenhanced corpse explosion. Yeah, okay. So maybe this could have been easily discovered by when if the imperfectly balanced passive was not bugged. Like if you could actually put more points into it, because now you can have about 2 extra points by not being able to put it there on the imperfectly balanced passive. And having this extra damage and radius with this malignant power actually does make a huge difference. So for those who thought otherwise, this is easy to discover. Fixed an issue where the what's that? Untimely death aspect only increased overpowered damage on the blood lance that was cast, not other lance targets. Like I said, it's time to actually play Bloodlines or Blood builds in general because of those fixes. Remember, August 8th, when the new patch arrives, Blood builds will actually make sense now. Nice, fixed an issue where the decrepit aura malignant power was equipped twice. The power with the lowest number of near enemies required to activate was not the one that would trigger. Like, why would you have this equipped more than once in the first place? Why? You wanna stack them or what? It doesn't work like that. Fixed an issue where shields held by a necromancer would cover their face in loading screens. The Fixed an issue where the necromancer's imperfectly balanced passive could only have 1 point allocated to it. Guys, it feels like they're actually gonna fix this game. Alright? I was referring to that earlier, and now I see it in the list of changes. Okay, but let's hope they also include the movement speed. I remember Adam Fletcher mentioning that on the campfire chat, so let's hope we see it in these patch notes. Alright, fixed an issue where the decrepit aura malignant power wouldn't trigger when mounted. Yeah, I remember that. I was using it while leveling, and it didn't really trigger. Indeed, that was exactly the case. Rogue and Sorcerer, we don't really care as well. Why we don't care? Because we don't. At this point, why bother? Why, I mean, really, why bother checking what is fixed in classes that we are not playing? And I'm talking for myself. Even my mules are necromancers. And why I'm not playing those classes is I just don't like them as much. And I want to put more into necromancer. And when they actually finally fix their game, maybe then, and when there's like ranking, I could again get back to other classes. I can play them, I just don't like them as much. That's the thing. And maybe we can go over those later for like the PvP case, but hardcore and PvP, I don't know, it feels very lonely in those fields of hatred. It really does. Fixed an issue where the speed increase from the spur skill while mounted was slower on controller than keyboard and mouse. Guys, we are saved. Finally, finally, we have we can compete with PC players and their speed in general because of this fix. So yeah, hope this actually finally works, because this is how I used to recognize PC players. I just get out of town and spur my mount, and I see those other characters which move like I don't know, maybe at least 3 times faster on their mount. And you know what? That kind of sucked, because especially in the early game when you do the renown, which is what you should do actually. This is quite noticeable there, and this can save a lot of time. Imagine saving like 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there, and this eventually accumulates. It really does. And yeah, I don't think this is going to be like a ski contest, like they split the second to see who's first when rankings show up. Not that it's really important. But still, I think PC players were too OP because of that feature. They just could do things much faster. And not to mention how much faster the inventory maintenance on PC really is, and the other problem that we don't have mouse and keyboard support on console at all, which is weird. At least that's what I want to do. Inventory maintenance with mouse and keyboard would be way, way faster. I think I can do it like at least 10 times faster, maybe more. Who knows? We'll see. Fixed an issue where invasion portals spawned during certain hell-tight events could be pushed off screen with effects. Yeah, okay. It was also in Nightmare Dungeons, I think. Yeah. Uh, Fixed an issue where Paragon rare nodes would sometimes not provide bonuses with stat boosting gear. Oh yeah, I remember this. Like I had this case. Something was requiring, I think, 450 dexterity. I think it was damage to elite bonus, right? And I have 450 dexterity, and it says I don't meet the requirements. So it says 450 out of 450, but it was glowing in red and not providing the bonus because you have the exact amount of the requirement, right? Okay, fixed an issue where continuously enchanting an item could result in having the same stat show repeatedly in subsequent rerolls. Yeah. Actually, I remember this happening. It's the problem is that not it did not only show subsequently in different rerolls, but sometimes for me at least it showed like twice on the same reroll. I think it was like I have to find it. I didn't take note on it, but it was weird. I should have. But imagine this: you want movement speed on boots, right? And you go to the cultist and pay the price to get a reroll, and you get fortified generation plus the dexterity, and do not change, right? Or there was like this and that, and no change. That's the thing. So it rolls two things at the same time, not on subsequent. This was happening to me sometimes, so I hope they address that as well. Fixed an issue where post-death damaging effects ignored the damage reduction from stats of close or distant enemies. Hardcore post-death effects. No. Fixed an issue where mounting your speed while moving would behave erratically when playing on a console. Yeah, especially with Druid, right? Monsters fixed an issue where elite enemies with the teleporter affix could teleport from off-screen and deal excessive damage. Nice! That's a really good one, especially on hardcore players, because I remember this happening to me a lot. Something I don't see, just teleporting on me and dealing damage. I mean, it would be nice if I just knew there was a teleporter, like to expect. But okay, it, it's good that they fixed this. Fixed an issue where tusk charger enemies could still damage the player after dying. Yeah, I was actually having this last night. So maybe I'll post a short about it. It was in this, I don't remember the dungeon now. It was this desert-like dungeon with sand and all that, and there was this animal like running towards me. I defeated it, and I still took damage, right? I'm a living proof that this should be fixed, and they did. This is great. Fixed an issue where the corpse spawn enemy wouldn't attack the player. What? Oh fuck. I think this is about the new monsters with the malignant powers, no? Because sometimes when I do the ritual to spawn their more powerful versions, they disappear again like the bosses, like I said, just one or two spells. And I can't even see what they do. Maybe that's it, or I don't know. Fixed an issue where the was the Maju monster? What's that? Was more difficult to defeat than intended. What's that monster? Mm, I don't remember this monster. Mm, okay, I see. Oh, right. Oh yeah, that's a good fix. Less guides for you to do, I guess. Quests. Fixed an issue where progression would be blocked during the reject the mother quest if the player left the game and came back. This is where you have to say no in front of I forgot the dungeon name, but there's an altar of Lilith there, and you just say no to it to complete this quest. This is the quest. I remember it. Fixed an issue where quest objectives could be missed while mounted during the Desperate Remedies quest. Uh-huh, okay. Fixed an issue where the Fury Against Fate quest could have its progression blocked. Fixed an issue where the quest tracker pin would not be visible outside the zone where the Ruins of Fate quest was located. Okay. This is actually not only there. Sometimes it doesn't show you the path at all to the pin location, especially in those quest areas, right? Fixed an issue where the gore soaked barricade could become indestructible after exiting and returning to the cellar during the Fury Against Fate quest. Okay. Fixed an issue where players could repeatedly fight Varshan during the final seasonal quest by resetting the dungeon where he spawns. Yeah, so it's boring enough to defeat them just once. I get it, guys. I get it. But this boss is not interesting. I just went there 5 levels under leveled and I fought him for like half a minute and he was defeated. It's like why would you wanna do this over and over? I don't get it. Actually the reward was nothing fancy, so okay. Season of the Malignant fixed an issue where the Prudent Heart Malignant power would not trigger while mounted. Really good. Fixed an issue where the Dark Dance Malignant power could behave as if the player was damaging themselves, which could apply other effects that occur when the player deals damage. Good. Fixed an issue where the Invoker of Arshan recipe could be lost. Huh. For any player that lost the recipe, it can be acquired from any malignant queue after the seasonal quest line has been completed. Okay, that's good, I guess. If you didn't complete it, you can go defeat this boss. Fixed an issue where the Barber Malignant power would absorb damage from all other players and not just the player with the equipped. Okay, yeah. Now this is how it's supposed to be. Again, they make the game work as intended, which is how it should originally be. Bravo there. Where was I? Okay. Oh, fixed an issue where the earn or bargaining season blessing was increasing the enchant cost for items. Amazing! I can actually now finally use this after August 8th, of course. Fixed an issue where the Dark Dance Malignant Heart could kill the player. It will no longer consume life if the player does not have enough life to pay. Wow. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't like this change. This shouldn't be like this. Let people commit, you know, this act if they want to trigger on that effects, I guess. Uh, I don't know. It should be possible to do this, but and what if? Okay, here's a question. And what if the amount of health is exactly the one that the cost of the cast is, right? Most probably it wouldn't trigger as well. Shop and battle pass. Those two things which ruin modern gaming. Let's see, what about them? Fixed an issue where the Arise emotes visual effects wouldn't appear when playing on log. That's why there's always console, because it costs like a couple of times less than the high-end graphics cards, guys. I fixed an issue where the dagger tap emote for Rogue from the battle pass would lock player movement for its duration. Okay. Fix this for the post effects of hemorrhage, right? Fix this. But of course, they're gonna first fix the this is higher urgency to them. I don't know. This is weird. Fixed an issue where the female necromancer animation for the cage puppetry mode had visual errors in the preview. Right. Fixed an issue where the Phantasm Walker cosmetic set had multiple visual errors such as clipping. Alright. Let's get to UI. Fixed an issue where text was missing when speaking to Crest during the Tangled Memories quest. Fixed an issue where the subtitles, okay. Fixed an issue where the tooltip showed the wrong name for Ruffle Malignant Hearts when equipping two rings with the heart socketed in it. Why would you equip rings with the same powers? They don't stack. Why? Fixed an issue. Actually, with the Rapful ones, you can't even equip it. That's weird. Fixed an issue where the Scroll of Amnesia tooltip reference stat points instead of Paragon points. Okay. Fixed an issue where the tooltips for the social and miscellaneous tab in the action wheel were mismatched. Fixed an issue where the tooltip for battle pass emotes would what? Erroneously describe the emotes as shop emotes instead of seasonal emotes. Right. That's more important than fixing the movement problem, the animation lock. Fixed an issue where the cauldron. Right. This, I think we can generally skip all these. Fixed an issue. These are just UI problems. The hero list could not be reordered. The players displayed death marker on the minimap was inaccurate. Fixed an issue where the quest markers would display incorrectly. Fixed an issue where the mount armor and trophies wouldn't update when selecting other mounts in the stable master. Fixed an issue where the controller button highlights could disappear in the stable master menu. I never had those, actually. I fixed an issue where the battle pass interface would not properly navigate to the appropriate tier after skipping. Yay! Yay! This is actually a good UI change, right? Fixed an issue where the die emote from the battle pass displays its name incorrectly. I don't remember what it said. Maybe we should check. Fixed an issue. Sorry, maybe I had shampoo in my eyes. Uh, Fixed an issue. Okay, check this. And here comes the end of it. Right, miscellaneous. Fixed an issue where the reins of the bloody steed would reappear in the stable master menu after it was already acquired. Right, fixed an issue where the opening multiple clan profile windows would cause a crash. It's an issue where the certain necromancer hairstyle would intersect the character's necks in cutscene. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's an issue where audio from what's this? Cormont, this new NPC from the new season, could be heard even if the player was far away from him during the enter the forest cleaning quest step. Fixed an issue where the weather effect and map color change to denote Helltide would persist after Helltide ended. Okay, this is really good change because I remember back when I wanted to do Helltides, when they were rewarding and you had reason to do them. Sometimes I remember seeing Helltides marked on the world map, which actually looks like Lilith's head being like turned away like this, looking at the sea, right? And sometimes imagine two hell tides and you don't know where to go, you waste time, and if you go to the wrong one, when you go to the event, it's already cleared, then you go to the other event and it's already cleared, and you get the idea. So this is a huge boost for those who still believe that Helltide is actually worth wasting your time on. Fixed an issue where skipping the initial cutscenes after creating a new character could cause a crash. I never had this, but I guess it's a good fix. Fixed an issue where the bloody liquid steed was not always rewarded after defeating the Echo of Lilith. Actually, I never had this. I think I even had it being dropped despite I already have it. Which is okay. Various other visual stability and performance improvements for all platforms. Like, please let me know. The most important one. Will the animation lock or lag be fixed when using hammers? I don't see this addressed here at all. And yeah, but basically they start working on the game as intended, guys. So hopefully this game actually becomes something. Like I said many times, new games, many problems, series of hotfixes and patches expected. I imagine this could get like better balance maybe till, I don't know, between season 6, season 10, if it lives to that point. which I hope it does, because I still believe Diablo 4 is a good base game to build on top of, especially if the company behind it plays its cards right and not focusing on microtransactions and battle passes as much as actually fixing the game. You know, 'cause what I noticed here is most probably is not good enough direction and management and execution of those roles. It must be really hard for those people who represent the company at this point, but you know, you get what you get for what you do. All right, let's move on. How do you guys feel about this patch? Are you satisfied with the changes? What else would you want to see changed? Let me know in the comments below, and also, most importantly, post it on the official channels, right? Like the official Discord, official forums, provide feedback so they actually keep on fixing this game for us, right? If we still want to play it. We can't solely rely on them making the right decision. We have to help them make the right decision. And I see they start addressing things, especially when there's community backlash, because they realize they're gonna lose the money, right? So keep on doing that. And I'll see you guys in Sanctuary or my next live stream or video. Take care.